How am I going to go from my regular diet and switch all of a sudden? How difficult is that?
For most people, it's step by step. I gave up, and I would suggest that people do something like a meatless Monday. A day a week, anybody can maneuver through their day. I pack lunches because that way I know I'm getting what I want. And then you can move it to 2 days a week. It's a little preparation. Of course, it's always reading, self-education.
Thank you for coming back. When we left you, we were talking a little bit about vegan diets, and during the break, I was talking with Dr. Khan about blue zones, and tell us a little bit about the blue zones.
Well, it's a really interesting concept in the last dozen years that if you look where people live the longest in the world, there's 5 areas. I mentioned Loma Linda, Sardinia, a little island off of Italy, and Okinawa in Japan, and there's a couple others. But what's characteristic of all of them, they have different diets, but their diet is over 90% vegetables and fruits, and they scavenge for some meat here and there. They're poor communities generally, but people are active, they're thin, they're mentally sharp. It's unknown to know about Alzheimer's in these communities.
Oh, wow.
Because it's this high, nutrition-dense, calorie-poor diet, which is what a vegan diet is.
Oh, excellent. So, interesting, blue zones. In this society, in our American diet, how tough is it for us to go from your general American diet to a vegan diet? Is it very difficult for those of you at home thinking, how am I going to go from my regular diet and switch all of a sudden? How difficult is that?
Well, I think you do, for most people, it's step by step. In my own life, it was step by step. I gave up animal meat first, and I would suggest that people do something like a meatless Monday. Pick a day a week where the whole family, breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks, is not going to involve animal products. I'm talking eggs, dairy, and meat. A day a week, anybody can maneuver through their day. I pack lunches because that way I know I'm getting what I want and don't have to search. And then you can move it to 2 days a week. Certainly breakfast doesn't need to be an animal-based meal. Unfortunately, it is for many Americans. So it's a little preparation. Of course, it's always reading, self-education, watching shows like this. You're doing a good job.
I appreciate it. That's a very good tip about packing your own lunch. But you have to make time for this. This is your life. I mean, this is all you have is your body, and make the time in the morning or maybe the night before to pack a lunch so you know exactly what's going on in your body. You can't count on a restaurant sometimes to give exactly what you want. That's a great tip. Now, we were talking about our vegan on the show, Jeff, and what do you think of Jeff's experience? Is that pretty typical for folks, do you think?
Yes, I mean, a good example of a healthy eater, but in the animal world, who made a transition sort of step by step. That's where I see most people doing it. Got himself educated by reading some books, watching some videos, asking questions, and really has evolved to where he's a blue zone eater. I mean, there may be a little fish in his diet now and then, and I don't think that's such a bad choice, but boy, is he packing in vegetables and fruits, and he's feeling better.
And how long does it take for somebody to feel better? So if I today go from my general diet to veganism, and I know it's variable, I'm sure it depends on the individual, but when did you start feeling better?
Yeah, when I went from that Snickers bar vegetarian vegan, and I didn't really do many Snickers bar, when I finally gave up some of the artificial hamburgers, artificial hot dogs, and really went to the farmer's market and started eating in a farmer's market way, organic food, really got energy. And what I find is people will feel better right away if they're lactose intolerant, because they've never known that dairy, eggs, cheese, actually it's mainly the dairy, was upsetting their GI tract, and within a week they can feel better. And then as they just start to load their body, it'll probably take a couple months and they'll really feel
much better. Well, that's great. So, again, it may not be, in our fast food kind of instant world, it may not be a quick fix within a day or two, but within a couple months you can see some advantages, and it's completely worth it. What's the most difficult part of being on a vegan diet? I mean, in some of the people that you've talked to, your patients and some colleagues, what's the most difficult part of it?
2 answers. One is the social answer. It's Thanksgiving, it's Christmas, it's birthday parties. Everybody's grilling burgers and hot dogs, and you've chosen to avoid meat and dairy and eggs.
What do you do?
You got to get some education to tell people, I mean, I'm here for health. My health is worth my choosing, and you may have to bring some of your own food. You may have to call your friend, relatives ahead and say, hey, can you be sure there's lots of side dishes? It'll all work out. And maybe it's worth, if it's not a health allergy, a little flexibility on the holidays so you keep that social attention down. By far, the specific hardest thing is for people is giving up cheese. There's actually chemical addiction to cheese. There's products in cheese called casomorphines light up the brain like morphine, and people really have a hard time weaning off of cheese. The food industry has responded with some really good cheese substitutes now, making cooking at home much easier.
Yeah, I can see why I love cheese now. We live it. In our family, we have meatless Thursdays and Saturdays, and there's one holiday in America that's always on Thursday, which is Thanksgiving. So, like you said, everybody that's in our family knows now they have to prepare a meal that's almost vegan. And so it's interesting that you said that. And it can work. It's not easy, but it can work. And so you just have to educate those folks. Tell us, a little bit about the environmental concerns that people have, in the sense that how can we improve the environment with a vegan diet?
Yeah, well, it's a big issue if you read into it, because the production, the farming industry in terms of cows, chicken, egg production uses so much of our energy, produces so much waste. If you'll study it, you'll be amazed. The carbon footprint, it's a common term, of a vegetarian or vegan is so much smaller in terms of carbon dioxide production, waste production, because it's not you, it's the cow, the chicken, and the farm that has to exist for you to eat the way you're eating. And you can really improve the health of the world if another 8 million Americans went vegetarian, vegan. That would be
even better.
A sizable improvement in our energy requirements and the whole country's health.
Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Partha Nandi, and if you enjoyed that video, you're going to love the next one. It's full of incredible information to help you start your health hero journey.